Welcome to another edition of Great Health, Abundant Happiness, and Outrageous Love.
Well, I want to start this video by wishing this special little girl a happy 14th birthday. Sugar Baby came to us 13 years ago through just the way the universe was supposed to work. She was actually only 11 months old when we got her, and she was going to be put to sleep because the couple who got her decided to break up, and she was going to be the pawn in their show. And so the mother of one of them actually stole the dog, brought her to a pet boutique, and long story short, she ended up with us that night, and we've had her ever since, and she's just the sweetest thing. She's completely blind now, aren't you? But she's really the happiest little girl. So today is her 14th birthday, April 15th.
Happy birthday, Sugar Baby.
Happy birthday, Sugar Baby. Okay, so we've been doing our series on twin flames, and what we want to talk about tonight is the difference between twin flames and soulmates. So we've talked about the twin flames in the last 3 videos. They're all titled Twin Flames, Series 1, 2, and 3. If you want to go back and watch those, there's some really great information in there. And then the same, let's see. So, just to reiterate, the twin flame is from the same soul, meaning they're of the same energy. And a twin flame relationship is a divine union with a divine purpose. And that's one of the big differentiators between a twin flame and a soulmate. So it's not a dependent or codependent, but instead it's unconditional love, which could also be a soulmate as well. So it's important to note that, twin flame is a rare occurrence. So everybody doesn't need to be waiting for their twin flame. If you go through the list of what is a twin flame, it's a very rare occurrence that happens because the soul splits in previous lives, and it's just unusual for both souls to come down to the same lifetime again at the same time. So that's not usually where they reunite.
And that's kind of that's common. I guess that's common agreement among all the people they're talking about.
Twin flames,
Twin
right?
flames, because it's as we're going to get to it, we didn't know about twin flames before we met. And
right.
Then as we read all of this, we resonate with it, and we're kind of like right on the money, right?
Exactly. I mean, we had already talked about all of the things that made our relationship so different. And, when we've started studying this twin flames, we're like, okay, now that makes perfect sense. And we always get, from people, I want what you have. And I want to make it very clear that everybody can have outrageous love. Everyone can have that. The twin flame portion of it is really just the purpose of your life together, is to make sure, like in our case, we've known from the very beginning that we were put here to help other couples find outrageous love. Not find their twin flame, not find their soulmate, but to find their life partner and find themselves so that they can have this overflowing love. And I believe it's there for everyone. And, so I just want to clarify, in the twin flame world, when that soul separates, it's a male energy and a female energy. So it drops down into 2 bodies. It could drop into a male and a female. It could drop into 2 males. It could drop into 2 females. It's just the energy that's gender specific, but not the body that it drops into. And I think that might make a lot of sense for a lot of people, same sex, where the energy is male and female, and they've met their twin flame as well. So,
and it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be 2 best friends.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. I mean, the twin flame relationship, it can take on a lot of different formations. It most often is and can be romantic, but it doesn't always have to be.
Right.
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 So, usually when the twin flames come together, there is a strong desire to create something that's going to help the consciousness of the planet. And again, I think that's the biggest differentiator between finding your twin flame and finding your soulmate. Some people will be lucky enough to find both. Jeffrey and I have both, but it doesn't make the love that you have any less if it's your soulmate and not your twin flame. Right?
Now, when you say both, all twin flames are really soulmates, but not all soulmates are twin flames.
Exactly.
Right. So when you're saying we're twin flames, obviously we're soulmates as well.
Right. Exactly. Yes, exactly. And that's such a great point. And so for us, again, twin flames, that divine union to make the consciousness of the universe better was clear to us. I mean, we had said almost from the beginning of time that we felt we were brought together for a mission. And that is one of the biggest differentiators. Anyway, moving right along, and I took a lot of notes because this is such a deep conversation, don't you think?
Yeah.
So I want to deviate for 1 second because Jeffrey and I, in researching all this, I said I had read about arranged marriages a couple of years ago, and that the divorce rate in arranged marriages was really low. And Jeffrey said, wow, that's really fascinating. So we went back and looked it up. So 6% of arranged marriages get divorced compared to 55% of, the choose your own mate type thing. So what this teaches us is that a successful marriage doesn't have to be a twin flame or a soulmate, right? It could just be a person that you're brought together, a partnership. But what's interesting in most of these arranged marriages, if not all of them, is the families bring them together because they have similarities, right? They have the same, usually, core values, which I think is really important. Those are usually the non-negotiables in a relationship,
Sure.
right? So, you might, in the case of arranged marriages, they're also, I think, 100% of the same religion. Jeffrey and I didn't grow up in households of the same religion. And again, that's pretty reflective of twin flames, where you've got that, again, a differentiator, but it's our spirituality was so much stronger.
Right.
That's, I always knew that for me, it wasn't about religion. It was about my spirituality and a higher being.
Yeah, on these arranged marriages, I thought that was very interesting. You're right. I mean, they obviously don't have the opportunity to be drawn to a twin flame or even a soulmate. You can become a soulmate through an arranged marriage. But what's interesting about that, I think there's probably a lot of pressure from your family, your social groups, your religion, whatever it is that drove an arranged marriage to make it work.
Exactly.
Which, if you think about that, going into any type of merger, whether it be merging two companies together or merging two lives together for a marriage, if you go in thinking like, we're going to make this work, period, you got a better chance to make it work. And then if you're coming into a relationship, signing prenups or whatever, deciding, well, if it doesn't work out, we can just get divorced. That attitude always is like a flip of a coin.
Right.
I mean, that's why we're over 50% divorce rate right now in the U.S.
Right. What's interesting too is that with a lot of arranged marriages, because they're not in the honeymoon phase, right? They don't have that honeymoon phase like, standard relationships or non-prearranged relationships. Oftentimes, they don't even have intimacy for, years in the relationship because they're building the trust. They're getting to know each other. I know. I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, is that, you read that?
I read that.
I'm looking at it like I didn't know.
Well, you didn't know.
Once they arranged marriage, it's kind of like, okay, now after they get married,
have kids.
Like, now it's your time, right?
And I do think there's some cultural specifications depending on, where you're getting, where you're coming from in the arranged marriage. But I read that a lot of times they're working on that. So they're building this sort of foundation. And in, traditional relationships, there's always the attraction, is first, because as the saying goes, you don't see brains from across the room, right? And so you see somebody that you're attracted to, you're physically attracted to them or spiritually somehow attracted to them. And a lot of times so I'm actually, Jeffrey, let's back up from that. I just thought that was a really interesting fact.
Interesting.
So we've talked very clearly in the last 3 videos, in this video, what a soulmate, what a twin flame, what twin flames are. But let's talk about your soulmate, okay?
And we're kind of doing it backwards, because really every soulmate is not a twin flame, but every twin flame is potentially a soulmate, or is a soulmate, I guess, depending on how you look at the definition. But soulmates, I think we all kind of know all this. I just jotted a couple notes here too. I mean, a lot of people just say, when you meet that soulmate, you just know. Like when you first meet that person, you know it's the one. The other thing is, you always feel like, or you have crossed paths before. I mean, Karen and I met, if you guys go back and listen to the story, met Christmas shopping in a mall. We had a brief interaction and didn't hook up again until 3 years later. So paths crossed, but we weren't ready. So if you're soulmates, you'll come together when you're ready. And what does that mean? You have enough self-love that's overflowing. You're able to give that to somebody else. You have the confidence. You're able to come together with another person, and there's no speed bumps.
Right, which is the same situation with twin flames as well.
Right. A couple other things I jotted down, and this is all standard. I think a lot of people know what soulmates are. You prefer to be together rather than be with anybody else. When Karen and I first got together, I mean, we went through plenty of times where, okay, the guys wanted to go to do something else, and it's like, no, either make up an excuse or just tell them outright, I'm going to spend time with Karen. So you end up changing course in your life. We all, I think, kind of grew up this way. You kind of go off to college, you have your crew that you go out, and for me, we had a group of guys, we would go out to different bars and things like that, and we had all the guy things that we did. But when Karen and I met, all of a sudden I just wanted to spend time with her. So I think when you find a soulmate, that's when you kind of change course in your life. And still had great friendships with my guys, and if any of you guys are listening, still love you. But at the end of the day, I wanted to spend my time with Karen for the most part, right? And I think that's indicative of soulmates. The other 2 things are, you're honest with each other, and you have the same life goals and core values. So on the honesty front, you're not afraid to talk about things, right? Maybe I did something that Karen wouldn't like. I would actually share that with her. I can be honest with her about it. We can have a discussion about it. The same core values right out of the gates. We wanted the same family lifestyle. We wanted the same kind of life that we were building together. This is back in our early 20s. We had this vision. She had a vision which matched my vision. So a lot of the core values are the same, so it makes it easy. So I think soulmates are really basically 2 people coming together, and there's a lot of likenesses, like attracts like kind of a thing, and you're able to grow together. That's why I think your point about the little tidbit about arranged marriages, the reason why they work so well, is that, they're forced together out of the gates. It's like, holy crap, they better like each other, because all eyes are upon them, the family and their society, that make this work. But you end up starting to figure out, okay, how do I make this work? Well, we better align on certain goals. We better be honest with each other. So some of those things are kind of forced.
Right.
With soulmates, obviously, we're not forced, but just so happens that's the way it is.
Right, and going back to the arranged marriages, all of the things that are part of being a soulmate, like the core values, like you said, on the non-negotiables, those almost always already exist for the arranged marriage. So they're working on more of the emotional. They have, there is no emotional connection yet.
Right. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know who does arranged marriages anymore. I apologize. But anybody out there, I would imagine it would be some traditional thing. So I'm making this up, but maybe, okay, now the wife stays home and cooks dinner, and the husband goes out and earns a living, and there's very traditional values, I would imagine,
Right.
from both sides. So when you come together, that's
Right.
just the plan. So you have the same core values. To your point, I think that's correct.
Yes.
So I guess to pass it back over to you, um, soulmates are a very strong bond between two people. A husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or could even be a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
But that soulmate relationship goes to the next level when those two coming together are twin flames, because you've got basically two like souls that have been split apart that are drawn together. So there's, I think, a more deeper connection, more deeper telepathic communication.
Spirit, that's a great point.
Yeah, accelerated spiritual awakening.
Yes, exactly.
And that intense desire to complete a divine mission. As
Right.
Karen said, we want to share the message about relationships, but also just how to live your best life. A lot of the stuff that we're doing, we want to help others, and I find myself saying that a lot every day now. I really want to help other people live their best life, and that's kind of what our goal is, right?
Right. And for me, everything is love. Love is everything. So part of living your best life is first and foremost loving yourself. And you're not going to be happy with your twin flame or your soulmate or a life partner until you're happy with yourself.
Or yourself.
Until you're happy with yourself. So that is a pre-qualification for finding love. So if you find that you just haven't found it, this quarantine time is a phenomenal time to really work on yourself, build yourself up, build up your self-esteem, read either self-help books or new interest books, whatever you feel is missing, fill that with information and love for yourself, because nobody can fill that void for you. You need to go into it with love. And what I also wanted to say is, with twin flames, it's a rare occurrence. So there is not a twin flame in this lifetime for everyone. Very few people will have that. As far as soulmates, we believe there are several soulmates for everyone. And if you're lucky enough to find one of them, make sure you treasure that, because it's a big world, right? And the key is, I do believe, like Jeffrey said, you'll be drawn to a soulmate. But a story of one of my best friends from high school, she went off to college, and oh my gosh, she met this guy. He was definitely her soulmate. She would tell me stories how they'd go out to this special place. I think his grandfather, showed him the place in the beginning, and they would go out there and they would talk for hours, and they had the most amazing, beautiful love story. And sadly, she passed away from cancer. And what's so interesting is, because he knew such great love, I know he felt the same way about her that she felt about him. And I believe that they were probably twin flames, because they had a lot of the qualifications for that. Totally different religious backgrounds, and came together for a greater purpose in life. And then her purpose was over, and she passed away, and and had moved on. And what was so beautiful is, because he knew love, right? And this is key. Because he knew love, and because he was so full of love, he was able to find it again a couple of years after she passed away. And that's proof. And he has another relationship where he's madly in love with with this woman. I mean, this happened years back now, so they've been together. But I think he's equally as in love, maybe different, but equally as in love, because it stems from yourself. So if you're wondering, when am I going to find my soulmate? As soon as you have found yourself complete, I believe that opens you up to, and what's wild is, once that happens, you actually stop looking for the person. You don't feel like you need anything to complete you. You don't feel like you need a person to complete you. And, you know, you're so full of love that you're now projecting it out there to everyone in the world. It comes back. Whatever you give out comes back to you, right?
Right.
Like attracts like. So that's when it happens. And it always, you know, amazes me, the stories that people say. It's like, oh, you know, I was doing all these dating sites and you know, I wasn't meeting anyone, and I was like, okay, that's it, I'm done, I'm just gonna take care of myself. You know, the person then really starts working on themselves, and all of a sudden they meet somebody because they're complete, they fall in love, and you know, hopefully live happily ever after. But the possibility is there. There are multiple people for everyone, and I'm not saying that if you're in a wonderful relationship to have 2 or 3. What I'm saying is, if you're lucky enough to find one of those people, that's your soulmate. Hold on to them.
Yeah, and they're out there, to your point. As long as you know you're putting that energy out there, you're gonna find that person. You know, obviously, if you're really negative and you're really crotchety and you're mad at the world and you've always got an axe to grind, you're probably gonna have a tough time finding someone, right? You obviously have to kind of love yourself first and put that out to the universe. So that goes without saying.
Exactly.
Right?
So if you have any questions on twin flames, on soulmates, on how to attract your soulmate and or twin flame, and we're going to do a video on that later on in the week. Because of the quarantine, you're not out there, right? So it's very unlikely you're going to be meeting your twin flame or your soulmate in public.
You can meet them on a video call.
But you could meet them on a video call. You might meet them on a dating site. You might look out your window. There was such a romantic, beautiful story. I can't remember what city it was in. I think New York, maybe. This guy was looking at across. He lived in a big, tall condo building.
I think it went viral.
It went viral. You probably have all seen it. But you know, their time was then, and the world works like that when you're ready. So I'm wishing you great health, abundant happiness, and outrageous love from the nest of Copper Mountain.
Thanks, guys. Go ahead and click off and subscribe. We'd love to have you on board. Thank you.